Well, be careful what you ask for, because you may not get the answer you wanted. That happened recently to NBC News and Capitol Hill correspondent Casey Hunt. Now, this week, she tried to defend her network's claims that Democrat Tulsi Gabbard was being promoted by a, quote, Russian machine, a.k.a. RT, by asking her followers, who do you think is more credible? Now, the response that followed wasn't exactly what she was looking for. Joining us now to break this all down is our very own reporter, Dan Cohen, the reporter originally behind the Tulsi Gabbard story that Ms. Hunt retweeted. Dan, I have to start off by saying, listen, I like Casey. I respect a lot of her work that she has done, and I respect that she is defending her network and the work on this. Just like I would defend the work that my show and this network does. I understand that. That being said, she got involved. And she asked a question, and she did not get an overwhelming surprise if she looked down the list that she was looking for. So you've done a lot of reporting on the group. This is all about the facts. And the facts are the group that NBC claims are experts. Can you explain for our viewers, once again, who's missing, who is New Knowledge that NBC is giving so much credibility to?
Right. Well, these so-called experts that the NBC piece cited, it's called New Knowledge. And this is a group of cyber disinformation warriors, cybersecurity experts, they call them, that actually waged a disinformation campaign in 2017 against Alabama voters in the special Senate race between Doug Jones, the eventual winner, and Roy Moore. Now, they pulled off what they called, in a leaked document, internal document, an elaborate false flag operation. They suppressed votes. They got Democrats to vote in certain areas, and they might actually even be responsible for the election of Doug Jones. I mean, these are the kind of operations that we typically see, you know, the American government and military waging on foreign countries, but now it's being turned on the American people, and this is who New Knowledge is. Okay, so they have been discredited, and even by the New York Times. Why is NBC continuing to cite them as a credible source? It's easy to figure out and to see that they are not. They are absolutely involved in lying to people to trick them into believing things. Well, it's no accident that NBC cited these discredited, disinformation experts. I think it's clear they did it for the same reason that New Knowledge ran this operation in the first place. Anyone who they have a certain agenda, and anyone who challenges it, as Tulsi Gabbard has recently, gets attacked. And it's the old McCarthyite smear tactic of saying, oh, this is a Russian plant, when simply Gabbard's message, I think, is resonating with more people against war, against regime change wars that just kill a lot of people, in other countries, as well as American soldiers. And that's why she's being smeared, and that's why NBC went to New Knowledge.
Well, that's the question. Outside of the media investigation discrediting New Knowledge, why hasn't there been any sort of federal action or legal investigation into this company when we're looking at continuing probing into others?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, back in right around the new year, the Alabama Attorney General, Steve Marshall, said he was announcing he was considering a probe into what New Knowledge did. Now, we haven't heard anything since then. There's no federal investigation into what, it seems to me to be a massive
open and closed
scandal.
Case on this.
And they may be, as I said, they might be actually responsible for the election of Doug Jones. He won by about 20,000 votes, and I believe there were 3 million voters who went out in Alabama. So if they actually take credit in their internal document for his election. I mean, we've seen, for about a year and a half now, we've seen Special Counsel Robert Mueller looking, under every rock he can for evidence of Russian interference, and there's still none. But we have clear evidence of homegrown interference, and there's no investigation.
Well, this was what was so interesting to me watching it yesterday, as she was tweeting this out, and God bless you, Casey. She had Tulsi Gabbard on her airwaves. And my comment was, as she's tried to paint it that there is an endorsement, which there is not an endorsement by this network or any person on this network that is paid by this network. She had Tulsi was sitting across from her interviewing her. So there has been more opportunities for NBC and access to Congressman Gabbard than anything we've been here, and yet they've been able to once again try to charge us with the ones as promoting her campaign. As a journalist, what does that make you feel?
Well,
I don't like emotions, but I have to say, this is against you. One of the people called out in all of this.
Well, it's just tacky. It's obviously a smear campaign. I mean, it doesn't hold water. I mean, when Tulsi Gabbard was sitting at that table with all these MSNBC hosts, she was being bullied. I mean, the last question, have you talked to any Russians in the last several years? That's openly xenophobic. I mean, can you imagine if we said, have you talked to any, Mexicans, or how that would be just... I mean, any of any nationality. It's just open. It's just racist. So I think that's what we saw.
It's going to be interesting to see the story continues, and I hope for the good that we continue to shed light on a story right now so the truth can come out. Thank you, Dan.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.